Okay, hello. This is the Atreo podcast for anyone who is listening. Um, we're from the Atreo server on Discord, and we'll be talking about Overwatch. Today, we'll be focusing more on Mercy because there's been big changes for her, and we'll start with introductions. I'm Echo. I am on Team Hostile. I am a main tank player. Um, yeah, and that's about me. Resistance. You want to talk about yourself?
Hello, I am Resistance. I'm a moderator in a trio. Um, right now I'm like peaking 3,800 masters tank off tank player. I also play main tank for Heartless. Yeah. Who should I pass it to now?
Let's
Uh,
give it to Kara.
yeah, I'll go.
Kata.
I'm Kara. I am also not on a team. Um, I am, I guess, a past moderator of Atreo, and I am a Mercy main in Plat. Krill.
Hi, I'm Krill. I am currently a Masters DPS main. I am a staff member for Atreo, a new staff member actually. I'm also 13.
Wow.
Gotta throw that in
Fantastic.
there.
All
Yeah,
right,
I got it.
so let's start off with Mercy.
Wait, what about Max? You forgot Max.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not
Let's
Maximus
put an
special.
ad on Max.
Plastimus.
Plat Mercy, just like Kara. There you go.
No, what about
Oh,
your
Max,
God
gotta talk
Hog?
more.
Come on now.
Yeah, I'm a good hog too. Okay, but it's all about the Mercy.
Hashtag Max Greedo on YouTube.
All right, now I'm gonna lose my job.
You hashtag it?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, so let's talk about the history of Mercy, where she was originally, when her ultimate was originally Big Res. Um,
My favorite.
so with Old Mercy patch, basically what you could do is an entire team fight she could basically undo. Um, Meaning, let's say you use Graviton Surge and Dragon Strike, get all get 5 people except the Mercy. Mercy can go in and she can use her ultimate ability, Resurrection, and basically res the entire team back to life, and you would basically just have wasted two of the best ultimates in the game. Um, or the best ultimate combo in the game. So that was her old res, and people wanted to change that, or people didn't like that because all Mercy had to do was hide for an entire team fight and then come outside and press Q with all her teammates nearby. So Blizzard, being Blizzard, decided, okay, let's change that. That ability is a little too OP. So what they changed it to is what is the patch before what we have now, which is the Valkyrie. Valkyrie was a 20-second ultimate, one of the longest ultimates in the entire game, and she had two. She could only res 2 people individually, and she has to go near them. And she also had increased movement speed. She had flight, which was and her flight movement was basically like if you were a spectator, except you were able to be shot at. So she could fly around, do whatever she wants. She also still had Guardian Angel, which was also increased in speed. And she could also heal. If she heals one target, that beam also extends to the rest of the nearby teammates, and that does also include damage boost. So you could technically be healing at, I think, 120 healing per second, I believe.
Something like that.
Which is, by the way, double Winston's DPS. I know that because I play Winston, but yeah, to her entire team, and also also damage boost everyone, which is a 30% damage boost, I believe, on every single attack or ability, to the entire team, which is, in my opinion, ridiculous. And for that to be lasting 20 seconds, it's a full team fight. Whereas if you think of Transcendence or if you think of Dragon Blade, those can be an entire team fight, but if used improperly, it'll just be an extra 6 seconds on the team fight. Which, on the other hand, Valkyrie would be the entire 20 seconds, which guarantees your team to kill everything in 20 seconds, which is more than possible. Now moving on to
What we currently
the
have.
newest Mercy, I guess. Her ultimate has been reduced to 15 seconds. She has she has a slower speed. Her resurrection, it no longer stacks, and you can no longer res 2 people. You could only res 1. And her resurrection cast time is also lengthened on her Valkyrie mode. So basically, if you res, it's really risky because you're just sitting there. You're the main healer, and you're just sitting there for 1.5 seconds about. I think her health regeneration still stays. Her beam chain stays. Yeah. So basically, she's slower. The ultimate has been reduced in time, and she could only res 1 person. That res is also has a slow animation. Which is huge because for Mercy, this has always been a big debate, but it's always been her ultimate that has been the problem. But that's basically, I think, a good rundown on Mercy. Did I miss anything, Resistance? You think?
Well, actually, it's even riskier because it's not just 1.5 seconds; it's a 3 second long res. So
Is it?
you're completely vulnerable for about 3 seconds. Yeah, I believe so.
Hmm.
Right, and then Tracer could basically unload a full clip within 1 second, I believe, and reload for 1 second, and then shoot again for a second. So that's basically 2 clips into
A dead Mercy.
Yeah.
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 And that's even worse, especially when she's using Valkyrie. You know.
Bring back huge res.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about our opinions on that. I guess. You know what? Let's have Resistance go first because I am pretty sure he wants to talk about that.
About what exactly? The nerfs?
Mercy.
Or
Yeah.
just Mercy in general?
Mercy's nerfs and what you think about
All
it.
right, so her nerfs, I don't really think. I think they nerfed it like way too hard, honestly. But the main problem with buffing her in the first place was that they did it because of res, but they were keeping res in the process. So it was like, what are you trying to get here, Blizzard? Like res was still as good when she was first buffed and reworked, quote unquote. But she still had like the insane like chain healing and damage boosting, and the flight speed and regenning while ulting. Like that was just wow. Like you would have to use like it was at the point, and I think we said it before at like one the last podcast where Azaria having just one mercy in Valk was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's crazy to waste that all just on a Valking Mercy is kind of.
Another thing is that like
Ridiculous.
it allowed overextending and a lot of like not good plays, like so things that people should get punished for, it allowed them to like go on. I don't know what to say
Right.
for it.
So, and
And
I sorry to interrupt you, but
oh,
I
you
think
can go on, you can go.
I think having that mercenary like undo all your mistakes, that kind of thing, makes other players kind of play less, like less safe and play a little bit more
Carefree.
loosely, a little bit more lax, and they're okay with making mistakes because they can always say it's okay. We have a resurrection, and that kind of play is really risky. And ultimately, I think on an individual level, it'll make you worse of a player if you always think, "Hey, it's okay. I have a
Mercy
mercy
will
to
correct
undo
my
all my
mistake.
mistakes."
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's why, like, even now, like in comp, people are saying like, "Oh, it's the boosted mercies that are dropping." Like, that's not true. It's the people who are taking advantage of getting res, like, who are dropping down. And I really noticed that.
Right. Okay, Crow, what do you think about Mercy as of right
Honestly,
now?
I'm really happy actually about these new nerfs because even though I think that there's still some issues, I think that this is honestly one of the most balanced nerfs that Blizzard has ever done. Because what usually happens is if a person or if a character is believed to be overpowered, they'll just completely nerf them and they won't be played for a long time. But to even now, I'm still seeing Mercy being used in
Well,
and competitive, and
for
it will work.
I'd say it's been a week and people are still like confused on like what's good and what's not, what's the new meta. So I'm not sure about like. I mean, I do see Mercy still getting played, which is very true.
I love playing competitive right after a big change. And some people might think, no, you might just drop a lot of games, and that's really risky to do. But I honestly enjoy it because that's when no one knows what the meta is. No one has to be told what to play or they're throwing. So honestly, you could be playing Ana Lucio on one side, and the other team could be playing Zen Mercy, and it could be a really even fight because no one's really sure what's supposed to happen, and because of the changes, no one really knows how to play, what type of style to play, I guess. So for me, I like that randomness. Actually.
Yeah, and the right now I really feel like all the healers, even with Mercy being nerfed, which is what Crow was saying also, that like the supports right now don't seem useless. Not a single one. I mean, like,
Right.
yeah, Mercy was like dominating, and even though she's nerfed now, I still do see her being useful in like situations. Like on defense, if someone like picks off one of your teammates.
Right, you can always res that, and that res value is still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I think today I was with my team, and we were 5 stacking in Masters, which is scary. Resistance, guess what the other team had? They had,
Like
okay, so
Grandmasters?
no, they had 5 Smurfs. Okay,
Oh.
the other team had 5 Smurfs and one like 4-star, 5-star, whatever, right? Our team, none of us were on Smurfs, and then we had one guy who was like who only played like Moira, and then his second most played was like Reinhardt. So we initially played that game doing Reinhardt death ball, right? Against and then we realized, okay, uh the other team's Ryan is too good. I wasn't playing Ryan, I was playing Ana because the the solo queuer on our team couldn't match to the other guy's Reinhardt. So we told him we'll just switch to dive on the third round. So and this is on King's Row, by the way. But we're playing dive, and the other team are like testing out like Moira, Ana, or something, or something like that. And we win because, I kid you not, we deflect their first grab, and then we eat their next 2 grabs. That was the only reason we won, and it was really clutch. But and we were playing out of our minds, and I played Winston, and I blocked the shatter with my monkey bubble, and that clutched out another one of the team fights. So on overtime, we capped 2 points, just like playing aggressive as hell, just trying to like beat the other team before they can set up a kind of engagement that they want to fight. And they kept switching comps. They were like, okay, let's try the Pharah against them, because we were running Doomfist at one point, and we were like, okay, let's get off the Doomfist, and let's do some weird thing with McCree, and but then our McCree kept getting shut down, and we basically, both teams just kept switching comps back and forth, and we finally won because our D.Va and our Genji player kept clutching it out. But I enjoy that we had to keep switching comps, and like we couldn't think of what is the meta. We
Yeah, you had to like get on your own feet and like think of how to counter what the team is running currently. It was like a back and forth game, right?
Yeah, once they counter our dive, we were like, okay, let's do Orisa Hog and let's do Anchor, and then they switched back to Death Ball or something, and so we switched to counter Death Ball and they switched dive and something like that. And like I enjoy those type of games, and that's why I think when a lot of these changes come out, that's I think one of the best times to play this game because no one's gonna flame you for playing Ana,
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, we don't know. And for Mercy, no one can say, oh, Mercy is bad, but you can also learn this is how she's played now. This is how she's different. I think that's interesting. Um, I guess I'll talk about how I think she should be played at the moment, and then I'll ask one of you guys. But for me, I think Valkyrie is no longer a defensive ultimate at all. I think it has to be played aggressively. Because basically, if you use Valkyrie when someone's picked, there's no like it's there's the same risk, Like a lot of people used to use Valkyrie because like you wouldn't the cast time for Resurrection was instant, but because it's no longer is instant, all you want for Valkyrie is the extra damage or the extra healing, and that lets your team to play hyper aggressive. Uh,
Yeah, as a team.
so I think Valkyrie most of the time should be popped preemptively and just used to engage a fight.
Yeah, just how like sound barrier was used like back then. Like if you notice, like most teams are just like okay, like when they ran Lucio Zen, it would use Zen's ult more defensively because it was instant cast. Where Lucio, you just speed end and drop the beat. You all have like a crap ton of health, and then you could just focus one target and wreck fate,
Right.
make
So
everyone tanks.
so now that we kind of talked about Mercy, let's talk about what we think the meta is. Let's start with Kara, and then move to Krill.
Okay, well, I guess she's still kind of in the meta, just not as heavily as she used to be. So it's definitely a more, I don't want to say defensive, maybe. It's very much like who plays who, I guess. It's very back and forth.
Yeah, depending on like I guess saying like a Tracer and a McCree battle. So like if your Tracer's not able to kill McCree, or like McCree's flashbang always killing this Tracer, you should probably swap out the Tracer for someone else. Or if it's the other way around, your Tracer's just outplaying the McCree that's supposed to be countering her, you should probably think of someone else to use, or have your team build around you to help counter that one thing. So it's like anti-dive versus dive comp versus like quad tank, and it's just, and this is what I like. It's I would say those are the three meta picks. And I know my bad, Kara, but I just started. And
You're fine.
All right, Kara, if you're done,
I
you
mean,
can move to Krill. But all right, you still
yeah. No, that's fine. Go on.
no. I would like to hear what you have to say.
It's very tank heavy right now. The tanks are definitely
Do you think
back
the
in
meta
meta.
would kind of move to triple tank or quad tank?
Well, Ana has the most healing output as of right now. So it'll definitely probably push more towards tanks, but I still feel like the DPS might also still be very useful. So maybe triple tank.
All right. All right, Crow. What about you? What do you think the meta will be? What are your speculations?
I think that one of the strongest things that we'll see upcoming is, well, triple tank with a Moira, a Lucio, and a Reaper. I think that it's important to have the Reaper, and this is kind of where I'm a little bit iffy, but I think it's going to help to have a Roadhog and Reaper combination to just rip through their triple tank, but then have the Moira and Lucio to keep everyone sustained. And I think the other tank will probably be, I don't know. I honestly don't know right there, because I think it could be Ryan, honestly, but I just don't know. It could be Arissa still, or it could be Winston. I don't know.
That's true. A lot of pros have been using Orisa a lot more than they have used Rhine
Yeah,
because her shield lasts a little longer, and she has very good synergy with Roadhog.
yeah.
Also because she can break shields. Reinhardt just
Right,
stands there just putting up his shield.
right. Why the Reaper pick though? Just to
Um,
just tear the other tanks?
yeah, just to tear the other tanks apart, and I think with the Lucio and if with a Rodog and Reaper combination, if you get the speed boost at the right moment, and this is why I think it could be Ryan, is if you speed boost and rip through their possible Orisa shield, you can really just rip them apart with the mobility and combination of Reaper and Rodog with Lucio. And I think that it's going to be really strong to have Reaper and Rodog.
Okay. Um, Resistance. How about you? What do you think the meta is
All
going to
right,
be?
so just because they were both talking about like triple tank and quad tank, I'll start up with that. Um, I'll start with what I think helps counter it and what I've been running in comp. So a lot of people keep saying like, no, don't run Orisa and Hog against quad tanks. Like, no, you want to run. What I do is run Orisa, Hog, maybe sometimes a Diva or a Zarya sometimes, and then have not only a tank buster, but like I want to call him like a tank controller. And this is why Junkrat's still strong because his Venom mines are crucial. Like
Metamind,
even if oh my bad,
concussion mine,
wow, concussion mine, lol. Um, can boob tanking tanks out of their spots, like where they want to be. I'll position them, and you can just have everyone just like spam at that one tank. Like Hog is a tank buster. I think we can all agree with that.
right?
And Orisa definitely has the spam to like control quad tanks, which are like Reinhardt coming in or like trying to charge, and she could fortify, hold him back. So she pretty much like denies the speed boost, and if they were trying to like cut a corner into a room.
Right.
One thing I did run like a few games ago in comp was with the May. A May versus a Hog against a quad tank setup, but also with an Ana. And I really think Ana is super good against Mora
Okay.
because people are playing Mora for her burst heals and her ability to get out of a fight. And that's why right now people are like, oh, run Mora with the dive comp because Zen can escape. But I still think you need a Zen with dive comp.
Right.
I think that's
I
really crucial.
think one of the core heroes for Dive is definitely Zenyatta because of his Discord. Because you're picking heroes like Genji, Tracer, Winston, Diva, who don't necessarily do that much damage compared to Reinhardt, Zarya. And so you need that Discord to keep up with that type of damage. And because this Discord is singling out a single target, that makes Dive the reason why it's so strong. You focus one target at a time and
Burn them.
methodically kill them one by one. Right.
Yeah. And then you could do it quickly.
Right.
Point.
So do you think the meta is going to be kind of like triple tank and then counter triple tank, or just playing like a variation of dive against that?
Uh, I really think it's going to be like rotating around. So I think it's going to
Okay.
be quad tank, then triple tank with like a Junkrat or a Reaper or May to counter that quad tank, and that triple tank has an Ana instead of like a Mora. Or you could still run Mora with it, and then dive if you like. If it's high tier players, like a high tier team, they'll still be able to run dive just as clean.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. Um, so with my experience with Moira and I guess Ana, what we would do, this was when Junkertown first came out, but we would run let's see, we would run Bastion, we would do the pirate ship, but we would also have we'll do I think either triple support or Yeah, no, we would do triple support. And it was Mercy, just a damage boost. It was Moira and Ana to burst heal.
Oh
Because
yeah,
I think we did the math, and it came out to 475 healing per second. With
yeah, with
like
the nade and
yeah, with the
the
nade,
orb.
which
Yeah,
is absolutely
it's
ridiculous.
close to Transcendence actually.
Yeah, I
I've
think
seen
it's more
some
than
people
Transcendence.
do.
Transcendence is 300 per 300 per second. So, like, just looking at the numbers like that, that's insane. That those two healers, and I'm not saying Mercy's not included in this. This is just the Ana Moira healing. The Mercy is just damage boosting the entire time. Um, if you do that, yeah, having two healers that do more healing, although it is burst, doing that, you know, doing more than Transcendence, one of the best ultimates in the game. That's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
But for me, I think the meta. I'm a little unsure right now, but I think. Well, all right. So there are a lot of heroes that are pretty balanced at the moment. Uh, Genji, McCree, Pharah, Reaper, even Soldier, Tracer. Those are the attack heroes, and I think those can be played at any time. And those are map dependent heroes, and I think that's what Blizzard wants to do with their heroes. They want all their heroes to be map dependent, or kind of be map dependent, so they can all have some playtime depending on the map. And you see that with King's Row, they do Ryan Zarya. You see with like Ilios Well, they would do Orisa Hog, and
Or
other
Nepal
maps they'll
too.
play,
Yeah.
and other maps they'll just play straight up dive.
And
Even
like Horizon Lunar Colonies were like quad tank during
Right, we've
Mercy
seen a lot of
meta
quad tank.
like came up. Yeah.
In let's see, Junkertown, you would see in Overwatch League, you'd see solo support with Mercy, and then you'd see the Zenyatta player playing Bastion or Roadhog, and then the DPS would be Widowmaker Hanzo with this double sniper Bastion comp, which is ridiculous, but it worked. It worked so well. Um, and I think Blizzard wants that kind of map dependent thing. So I kind of agree with you that there won't be a meta, but they're trying to shift it to map dependency rather than we're always going to play dive on every single map, or we're always going to play
Quad tank.
yeah, quad tank or death ball. I think we're gonna do quad tank on this map. This map is actually really bad for quad tank. We're going to do dive instead. And I think that's what Blizzard wants to do. Okay. So moving on, we were going to talk about this in the last podcast, but it was about Junkrat. So about how overpowered he was before the patch, and now we can talk about how we feel about him now. So I'm assuming everyone knows what the changes are, but basically,
Yeah.
Junkrat, his concussion mine does less damage from a, how would I describe it? It has less
To targets further away.
yeah.
It has less. What's the word?
Range.
I'm trying to
Damage
remember.
over range.
Yeah.
I guess area. Yes, it affects less area. That's a weird
Yeah,
word.
there
but
is a
Yeah,
word.
Yeah,
for
the
it.
I
further
hope
no,
everyone understand.
Here, straight from the patch notes. Will deal less damage to targets further away from the explosion center.
Oh,
Yeah.
well.
Right.
Okay.
Think of it as a sphere. The further away or the closer to the crust you get, the less damage you'll absorb. There you go.
Well, Junkrat's mine isn't pizza, but sure, we can go with that.
Well, I was thinking more like a planet. Understand?
All right. All right, so Krill, I want to hear your opinion on this first as a DPS player. The DPS. We're laughing because Krill used to be a tank man, by the way.
Yeah. Honestly, it was nice because before Junkrat was just, it was always, if he was on the enemy team, you would always notice him, and he would just be one of the biggest problems to go against. But I feel like now, as even like squishier targets like Tracer, it's not it's not that noticeable anymore. Like you don't really notice Junkrat too much. I just think that honestly, I haven't really noticed the changes, and I haven't really noticed Junkrat that much. He seems the same to play, but he seems less obnoxious to go against.
Okay.
He doesn't seem to be picked as often as he used to be, though.
Yeah, he isn't picked.
I
as
would
often.
disagree with that. I think right now Junkrat is in a healthier spot, but I do see that people still have problems with his regular primary fire, which is like super inconsistent for him and the enemy team. So like he's lobbing and his bombs have a duration if they don't touch someone to like pick off, and they can bounce like more than once.
Right. I'm pretty sure it's about up to 3 bounces before it explodes, which in my head, this is my opinion, but I think that has to be nerfed to like 2 or 1 because there's so many
Yeah.
kills where it's just
Yeah.
bounce it behind a wall, and
Yeah,
it'll
and
just
another
bounce
thing is
off.
like I don't think it just needs to be nerfed because it's unfair to the enemy team, but I think it needs to be fixed for some Junkrat players too because like it's super inconsistent. You'll be lobbing one place, not even know guys there. One bomb, he'll dodge, like the enemy whatever would dodge it, and then randomly a bomb just behind them would just like randomly explode and kill him. It's like what?
Right. I think that's a little I guess more unfair to the other player, and it's just kind of funny for the Junkrat, I guess. Um, but in my opinion, well, here's my take on the primary fire. You watch pro player Jake, let's say, who is by far the best Junkrat in Overwatch League. I saw him blow a concussion mine underneath him to fly up in the air, and he followed an ulting monkey. This was Outlaws versus San Francisco Shock. He followed a ulting, or not an ulting monkey, just a monkey jumping in the air and hit every single primary shot and just destroyed that monkey. Having that kind of skill is amazing to watch.
Yeah, he understands the drop off and
Right.
the projectile speed of the mine, which is kind of hard to do.
And I think I kind of wish Junkrat was in like the same spot as Widowmaker, where you need a superb amount of skill and a, and you have to be so good at aiming, I guess, to be able to do something like that. And for pro player Jake, he definitely has practiced Junkrat enough to aim with Junkrat, which is insane to think about, aiming with Junkrat, but that's what pros do.
Yeah, well, I think Junkrat should be more in the spot of like Farah, where whereas like he has controlling abilities because he's a defensive hero, although he's being used a lot on offense. But he has those controlling capabilities over tanks, and that's why I think his kid I think is fine. Like the 2 mines I didn't have a problem with, just the damage was like a little too much, and I'm glad they did fix that. And it shows, like even as a tank player, it shows because that dealt a lot of damage to tanks, let alone even squishies. And I think Mercy also had a part with Junkrat showing a lot of popularity, but I think he'll even be better to use because now there's no Mercy resing a random pick he got in the back line.
That's true. Mercy also made it so much easier for Junkrat, because Junkrat, if he's damage boosted, he could one-shot tracers with
Yeah, with the mine.
and a concussion mine, which is ridiculous. Um, but at the same time, it was kind of fair at the time because that means Tracer. I mean, Tracer on her own is almost an overpowered character, and we can maybe get into that if we have time. But yeah, Tracer on her own was. Some people say she's overpowered. Some people say she's balanced. But having so much mobility is ridiculous.
Yeah, with the small hitbox, mind you.
Right. But then it's also unfair when you had a concussion mine that had so much radius, so much area, and that could just one shot if she's being damage boosted, or if Junkrat's damage boosted.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I feel like even with Junkrat like that, he was probably the best thing to getting a Tracer, because back then it was what the hell? It was Hog who was able to counter Tracer because his hook was broken. Um he had that damage to just as soon as he had hook, he didn't even need a melee after. But now that also hook's cooldown is a lot longer than where it was. Like this is way before though. And that's what made Tracer weak before was the hook, and that was always such a threat. I mean, hook is still a threat to her now, but it takes it's easy for her to actually break a hook, and I've seen it for myself and other people plenty of times, and it's because her hitbox is so small. It's hard for it to stay in line of sight. If you say like she's blinking back and forth between a wall, and you actually hit her with the hook, but it just breaks because she's blinking back.
Right.
which is extremely aggravating.
Yeah.
Before
See, you guys are all hog players.
I mean, I used to be. I stopped playing Hog for a while, but I still have his golden gun. It's sad because I got his golden gun the day he got nerfed to Oblivion. But before we get into Roadhog, or even Tracer, I want Kara's opinion on what she thinks about Junkrat, and we'll change the topic.
I mean, I really feel like he hasn't been changed much, and I know I'm gonna get like.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah, no, he really hasn't changed much at all. He just throws one mine, and then that's like what 50 damage if it directly hits somebody, and then throws another
120
one.
damage.
Oh, there you go. Okay, well, that's
little bit
easy. Again, with Mercy changes, if she's rezzing somebody, just throw 2 concussion mines at her because she can't move or anything, and she's dead. So.
Right. So, do you guys think? I guess we'll start off with Kara and move along the line. But do you think that Junkrat should be nerfed even more, or do you think that at the right now he's balanced, or he's still overpowered?
I feel like at least nerf the time on his concussion mines just a tiny bit, and maybe he would be a little bit more balanced.
I would say fix the duration, the bomb, or like
Right,
how
duration of the bomb.
how the geometry of the bombs work, like how it lobs or how it bounces off 3 times, then like ticks and explodes. Where I don't know what to give to like an advice to like sort of fix that, but I think that's the spot where Junkrat needs fixing. The mines right now are okay. Another thing is I don't think Junkrat should be nerfed to the ground because he's one of the only defensive heroes being played besides like Widowmaker right now, and we all know defensive heroes have been like meme picks like for the longest.
It's weird to me because defensive hero, like, all of them are way better on attack. Bastion, he's so much better on attack on pirate ship. Widowmaker, he's so much better on attack
Yeah, because
because
the first early pick. Yeah.
what if the enemy don't have a counter for you, then it's easy picks for you.
And I think McCree's better on defense.
Yeah, which is weird,
Yeah.
that this offense hero could be better on defense, and most of the defense heroes are better on attack. Like Hanzo, most people, if you play Hanzo on defense, that's so easily counterable by the attack, and because attack have closer spawn, that just kind of makes it easier for them.
And Soldier too. Like the thing that's very odd about McCree and Soldier is they're both offense characters, but they both have very good zoning ults, which is fantastic for defense. So it doesn't make a lot of sense that they're in the offense category, and it's the same for Widow. It's like Widow's just so much better on attack. It's barely even in comparison.
Right. See, the reason why, and yeah, it does seem like McCree and Soldier are sometimes just required because you just think, oh, they probably have a Pharah on attack, so So then you have to play that hit scan just to deal with the Pharah, and that's incredibly annoying.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I feel like you just need to kind of ignore the fair. Like how I would scream at people like just use the walls and hide from Widow's line of sight. Same thing. And I feel like Widowmaker and Fair actually plays similar than what most people think.
Right.
Just because
And
like they'll usually have like a pocket or whatever, and there's such a high threat if given the space to put in the work.
mhm. I know we got a little off topic, but the original topic was is Junkrat overpowered? Resistance, you can continue on with that. What do you think about Junkrat? Is he overpowered? Do you think he's
Uh
balanced?
right now I think he helps against the quad tank, but I think he's also the reason why it's kind of the meta right now. Or not the meta, but an option a lot of people are picking.
Hmm.
Because his high burst damage is just insane. And the only way for you to like take it all without dying is just having a lot of health and having those tanks deny that damage coming in, like Zarya bubbles, Reinhardt's shield, Diva's matrix, and even Roadhog's healing that takes 50% less damage.
Right. I feel like Roadhog is a big counter to the quad tank, and maybe you'll see a lot of Junkrat triple tank or even Pharah triple tank.
Yeah, because
Um,
Farah actually builds her ult super fast. I've seen it like happen against me running triple tank, and if she's able to like not die off of using barrage like from a diva, she just wipes them all out.
right. And Junkrat can farm ultimate and destroy the shield incredibly fast. I mean, we all know his ridiculous damage. Um, so I'm not excited to see that type of meta come out because it feels like it's just
Yeah, it's either like spam or quad tank, right?
right, and it's just randomness at that point. Um, okay, well, Krill, how do you feel about Junkrat? Do you think he's overpowered, underpowered, or he needs another nerf buff, something like that?
I think he's still slightly overpowered because even though what you're talking about with whole Jake and how he uses high skill to play Junkrat, I still feel like there's just too many things in his kit that are just low skill, and I don't think that it's well, it does need nerfs, but I don't think that it's necessarily just that. I really want Junkrat to be a character that takes more skill to play,
I
and
agree
I
with
don't
you.
know how they would do that, but I hope to see it in the future.
Right. Okay. So one thing about Junkrat, and this is going to transition really nicely to our next topic. But Junkrat, one of the strong suits about Junkrat is he can do a one-shot combo, pretty much, and that one shot would be primary fire and concussion mine immediately after. So I want I want to know about your takes on one-shot abilities like that because Doomfist is a hero who can one-shot. Roadhog is a hero who can one-shot. I'm a little ticked off about Roadhog because they're like, okay, we're going to make him, we're not going to let him one shot anymore, and then they kind of, so they don't, they make him worse, and then they
That
change
that
his
was true.
healing. They change his healing, but they also change his damage and his like his firing capability. So he pretty much one shots like every one, like he one shots 50% of the time now, which I think that's stupid. What are your guys' takes on one-shot abilities?
Mm.
We'll start with Krill.
Well, I think one of the things that I thought that was really annoying was that when the Roadhog nerfs came out, so that it was at least harder to make in one shot. That was the same time they added the double concussion mine and all the Junkrat one shot ability, and that was extremely annoying to me. But I think Roadhog's one shot ability is really what makes Roadhog a viable character. That's what makes Roadhog a character. Whereas Junkrat is like he's not. I don't think that he should have the one shot capability. I think that he's meant to deal a lot of damage, but not to exactly finish all the characters in the game. But as far as most of the one shot abilities, I think most of them are okay, but I still think some of them need to be looked at because I don't think all characters should be able to have one shot abilities.
Right, and of course they don't. Right now, I believe it's just Junkrat,
Yeah.
Doomfist, Hanzo. Um,
Yes, Scatter.
Widowmaker is different because it's not an ability. It's just straight up you're good. You're good at hitting your shots. So I know no one really has a problem with Widow being able to one shot. But or Hanzo even. Actually, maybe I sometimes I do have an issue with Hanzo being able to one shot because he's a mid range hero, kind of like a McCree, but he could one shot, which I think is really dumb. Um, that's just me. Yeah.
Here's my thing with the one shot. Like Hanzo, for example, his scatter's like every 12 seconds. So I think
8 seconds.
wait,
It's 8 seconds, dude.
Oh, never mind.
It's
Move it to 12 seconds or change the arrow. Which I don't know why I thought it was 12 seconds.
His sonar is 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's probably what I was thinking about. Well, what'd you call it? Hog and Junkrat. I guess we can talk about like their one-shot capabilities. Hog now has like a longer cooldown, so he can't really one-shot as much as Junkrat can. Junkrat can legit one shot, wait like a second, and then one shot again. And it's kind of like, wow.
Well, okay. Here's the interesting thing about that. Most of the one-shot abilities are all 8 seconds long. Hook is 8 seconds. Junkrat Concussion Mine has an 8 second cooldown. The thing is,
Or
he's got
one.
two.
Yeah, he has two to start with.
So
yeah.
basically, he can one-shot two people, and then wait 8 or 16 seconds, and then do it again. With Doomfist, he for him it's 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And yeah, Scatter Arrow is also 8 seconds, which is which you think is ridiculous, and that's reasonable. But do you think that's like a reasonable time for being able to one shot every 8 seconds in the game?
I think so. For Junkrat's one shot, I mean, it's a little fixed now because the damage fall off. I'm just gonna call it like damage fall off because
Right.
pretty much what it is fixed now. And my only problem, like with Doomfist, I don't think it's too much of a problem. Like even when he was first out with the huge ass hitbox he had to fist people, I never saw it as too much of a problem. What I think it was more of punishing people out of position. And yes, people are going to say like, oh, but he has the mobility to get in position of where you are. But a lot of the tanks can absorb his punch. And yes, he does punish tanks for going certain places. But like usually when Doomfist was strong, like at first, and I was like playing D.Va or whatever, I'm like, all right, just stay behind me. I'll take the punch for you. Or I would go up to the Doomfist, take on the fight with him instead of him taking a fight with my support or other DPS player, and just distract him off that way. And as a tank, he's not a tank buster, but he's more of a position corrector. That's what I would label Doomfist as. Like if you're in the wrong spot, especially like you're next to him, you're near a wall, you're fucked. Don't be near walls. That's I don't think Doomfist is too broken or like I think his one-shot capability is just fine. Also because of the fact that he's launching himself out there.
Right. He can get shut down very easily.
Yeah, and his hitbox is still kind of it's iffy with
that is also true.
People.
That's still there are some bugs with that still. Kara, what do you feel about one-shot abilities? Or how do you feel about them?
I feel for like the DPS that are supposed to get picks are definitely like useful. But like for characters like Roadhog, he definitely punishes people that are not in position. And I guess it's kind of what Roadhog is supposed to do, but it's like he's a tank. He's supposed to be tanking for his team, not getting picks.
Right. I think his healing ability with the damage reduction was a big step towards that. Because what I do when I do play Roadhog is, hold on, let me face tank this whenever there
Yeah.
is no shield or something like that.
Turn
Which
around
is-
and just like here, get behind me. I do it all the time.
Right.
Yeah, whenever I play Roadhog, I like to stick with my supports and just protect them at all costs, and that's the role I take up as Roadhog.
Um, Now I want to move on to another thing about Roadhog, and that's not his hook exactly, but a little thing that his hook does, and that is the stun. And stuns have kind of been buffed in a way, um, because stuns can now basically force someone out of their ultimate phase. So, for example, a Moira, I do this so much. When a Moira ults, when I play McCree, I roll up to her and then just flash her in the face, and then she doesn't have her ultimate anymore. She doesn't have her crazy healing or crazy damage, and she just fades away because she's terrified that I would kill her. Um, and sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But the point is, the point isn't that I'm a shitty McCree. The point is that stun is ridiculously powerful. So I guess we'll start with Kara. What do you feel about stun abilities like Earth Shatter, Hook, or Flashbang? Do you think those should be able to cancel out an entire ultimate, or do you think that they should be able to cancel out more ultimates?
I feel like with McCree's flashbang, that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to stop someone from starting, I guess, in a way. So it definitely changes a team fight, but like so does Sombra's ult.
Hmm. I guess for Sombra, it's a little more fair in a way because her ability is meant to shut down ultimates.
Yeah, and it's her ult, so
Right. I mean, she can also EMP people out of their ultimate phase. Like, let's say Reinhardt in his mid shatter animation, you can technically hack him.
yeah.
And he'll be unable to shatter and unable to shield, which is pretty ridiculous. But it is possible. McCree as well, Ana as well. She can sleep a Reinhardt, or you can sleep a Roadhog who's in the middle of hooking someone or ulting even. Do you think that should be extended to, let's say, Genji or Winston? Do you think when the second he pops Primal Rage that he should not have Primal Rage anymore?
I feel like that. No, I don't think it should, because those are. It's like it's already started, so
But
That-
Moira ult has already started. I'm kind of playing devil's advocate here, but
yeah.
for Roadhog and Moira, their ults last a little bit of time as well, almost the same amount of time as Genji. But when Genji's stunned, he's still in blade form, and when Roadhog or Moira are stunned, they lose their ultimate completely.
I guess that is a little broken the way it stops some, but not all of them.
Do you think he should stop all of them, or just something like Genji Ultimate is just a particular case? Say.
I feel like it should stop them now that I'm thinking about it, because it's like if you were able to stun them in the first place, then they probably shouldn't be able to continue.
Hmm. Does that also include the Winston Ultimate or no?
Yeah.
Yes, because
Okay.
all right, I just had to jump in because
resistance.
it's so many times this, like, I'm gonna call it like a bug, all right? So it's almost the same way where it should channel, but it also should cancel. But so I'll give you an example, right? I'm jumping in, I already have my ult, I'm low, I'm on a McCree, right? I'm like, okay, I'm low enough, I'm gonna activate the ult now. Nope, he flashbangs. I hear the ult activate, but it doesn't activate and I die. Like you hear him like scream and all like whoa, and I'm like what? And I question it every time it happens. I'm like, should I still have my ult because I would still have it? And I'm like, do I still have it or is this fair? Shouldn't it have like channeled if I did make the noise effect? Like hello?
Right.
So I feel like Winston's ult isn't clarified for in that category of being stunned or not.
Okay.
Within the game, it's not clarified.
Okay. Kara, are you done with your?
Yeah.
Okay, then I guess we'll
Right.
move on to resistance.
Yeah, he pretty much took it over, so.
What do you think about canceling ultimates with stun abilities?
I think it's fair. I do.
Right now?
And I mean, I feel like the person who actually has it the worst, I would say, is Lucio. And I know it's like,
this is coming
come
from
on,
an
what about all
ex-Lucio
the other?
player.
Yeah, and I mean, I see it all the time happen to other Lucio players, and
Well,
it's like, wow.
well, okay.
You're in there. You're like, all right, let me drop this beat. I really think Lucio. I mean, he's coming back now, but I think his cast time should be buffed, or like they should work around him being stunned while dropping the beat.
Okay. Well, here's my thing about Lucio, and this kind of goes with Reinhardt. That for them, it's not like their ultimate lasts 6 seconds. It's not like Dragon Blade or Moira ult, where you're stuck in a movement or an ability for a couple of seconds. For Reinhardt, there's an animation to shatter, and if you stun that animation, he just doesn't happen at all.
Yeah.
For Lucio, I think it's the same. He has this animation that takes
Where he
quite a bit of
jumps
time,
up in the air. Yeah.
which can take quite a bit of time, but it's an animation, and once his ultimate is casted, it's casted. You know. Whereas for like, let's say you already drop beat, and if you're stunned, it won't matter. The shield still went through. For Roadhog, if you pop your ultimate in middle, you get stunned with a hook or a flashbang, it's gone. It's just gone. So, what do you say to those type of ultimates, the ones that lock you into an animation?
Do I think they are fair? Like the channeling ones, like Genji,
like
right?
right. Like, do you think that Genji and Winston's ult should be canceled out completely, or do you think it's fair right now, or do you think that Suns shouldn't cancel Moira and Roadhog ults?
One, I think Genji should have been like how they wanted, how they had it at first, where if he doesn't pull out the blade, but they flashbang or stun him, it should be gone. Because it's not right for it to be gone for like Roadhog, who's just chucking some bullets into whatever. Or like Reaper is a great example because I think he should be stunned from his blade because that ult does a lot of damage. I also think Soldier actually because McCree can, but he only stands still to like set himself to like die. So you gotta like protect him when he's freaking high nooning. But like
Press Q to
Soldier, he
respawn.
runs, he has the aimbot consistently and just like consistently does damage. I've always thought like why can't EMP stop a Soldier ult? It
Right.
would make sense for it because it's the technology in the visor that makes him have a aimbot and EMP's EMP. It deals with electronics. Why is EMP stopping a freaking I don't know high noon? Like it's taking freaking McCree's skill to do that, not technology. Come on now. So yeah, I feel like I do have mixed feelings within the heroes on like, all right, this one probably should be able to like get stunned and not have their ult, but this one who has it still, like Winston, I think Winston should just not have his ult. Even though I am that Winston player, I don't think so because he'll die and then like say it's like overtime. And this I've done a lot. I'm like, oh my god, thank god I didn't use my ult that fight. I jump in, ult again, jump again because it resets, and then I'm back in the fight, contesting the point, and then I win. It's happened many times.
Okay. Krill, how about you? What do you think about stunning stunning ultimates, do you think they should all be deactivated? Do you think that stuns shouldn't deactivate any ultimates at all?
It's honestly a very interesting topic for me because it's like Resistance was just talking about with EMP and Soldier, like it should take it away, just off of how much sense it makes with the EMP. But it's almost like I try not to think of it as it making sense and just try to think of it in a balanced way. But even then, I still feel like Sombra should be able to take that away from Soldier. But it's just so weird with Genji and Roadhog and just everyone that has ults like that. But I honestly do think that it should stop Genji's ult. But as far as like Winston's, I don't really think so because I mean he's fully transforming into something else, and I don't think that a stun would stop that. And right after, of course, I just said that I don't try to think of it as it making sense. I just tried to make sense
Well,
of
yeah.
it. But it's just I don't know. I think that's the most balanced for Winston personally.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Winston, right? I do get what you mean. Like, no, I don't think his ult should be stopped while he's like freaking huge, right? I think if you stop it, it's like with the Sombra. Actually, you can stop her from EMPing, right? Through the transformation, through the animation of it
Yeah.
happening, you can stop it. That's where I think Winston should be stopped. I don't think if he's in primal, he should like get flashbang and then turn back to like a small monkey. Like, no.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I
And
think that
The only reason why I think that is because it has saved games where like once it's like, okay, I didn't make that mistake. Let me go in, jump, ult, jump, like I said before, and just get to the point ASAP.
All right. Well, it's been about an hour, so I am going to wrap it up. I'll wrap it up with Overwatch League and a little bit of what's going on in Atreo. But in Overwatch League, Seoul Dynasty, who everyone expected to be the #1 seed, everyone expected to be undefeatable, had 2 losses in a row from New York Excelsior and London Spitfire, the 2 other Korean teams, which is which is incredible, and also kind of sad for the Seoul Dynasty. Right now, the standings are London Spitfire in #1, New York Excelsior #2, and Seoul Dynasty at #3. And the only NA team following would be Houston Outlaws. Actually,
Oh,
there's a bunch.
Valiant's not up there?
So Houston Outlaws, Boston Uprising, Los Angeles Valiant, and Philadelphia Fusion are all tied 5 and 3.
Fusion.
However, Houston Outlaws and Boston Uprising technically have more map wins than the LA Valiant and the Philadelphia Fusion. So they're #4 and 5 currently. So that's honestly incredibly interesting, especially knowing that Seoul Dynasty lost to Excelsior in 3-2, I think. Yes, 3-2. Lost to Spitfire 4-0, and a lot of that people say is because Seoul Dynasty never played Rujeon in the match. That could be a debate for another time. But Seoul Dynasty against Houston Outlaws almost did lose. Houston Outlaws did not have Linkster and just had Clockwork playing the entire time. And everyone knows, or most people should know, that Linkster is clearly a way better DPS than Clockwork is. But Seoul Dynasty barely won the match with a 3-2 win. So that's very interesting to look at. And if you look at the standings, 4 teams are tied 5-3. So one of those teams, I believe, can go off to only one of those teams can go off to playoffs. And actually, no, Seoul Dynasty could potentially not make the playoff as well. But those 4 teams have either the chance to get into playoffs. So that is really interesting to see. London Spitfire and New York Excelsior are guaranteed playoffs, but from Seoul Dynasty down, none of them are guaranteed playoffs, and it's honestly really, really close for a lot of those middle ground teams. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. One thing I want to say is that I'm a huge Fusion fan, and I think when they play together, like well, communicating. They play phenomenal, and individually, their whole team is good. Like Boombox, Shadowburn, Poco,
Right.
Carpe. So I think they're definitely a huge contender. But same with Valiant. Like I don't know all of Valiant's team, their names, but I know they're a really high end team.
Fate, Envy, Soon, Agilities. Those
Yeah, and another thing
those
you also
guys.
have to recognize is that Fusion beat New York,
That is true.
and I forgot what. Wait, did Valiant beat Spitfire or no?
Um, I'll check right now, but let's see.
Valiant did not beat Spitfire. It was a
No.
3-2 victory
What?
for
It was
Spitfire.
3-2.
I believe. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I was like
Fusion
busy.
did beat Excelsior 3-2.
Yeah,
Valiant almost brought it back in the match. It was extremely close.
so I definitely think
Yeah,
that
Valiant 2
Fusion
lost.
and Valiant, non-Korean teams, definitely have good chances of beating.
Right, and you see, I think Spitfire lose to, I don't know who they lost to, but
They lost to Boston Uprising.
right, which is ridiculous because no one thought Boston Uprising was good.
Yeah, Boston
Um,
Uprising was a huge shocker. First, they beat Spitfire 3-2, and then they took a 4-0 victory over Valiant. So
right,
that was just insane. Nobody, I don't think anybody saw that coming.
yeah, Boston Uprising is showing that they're really strong,
And that they're not underdogs.
right, which
They're
is amazing to see.
beast. Yeah.
Um,
Same with Gladiators, actually. I'd say they're a shocker. Gladiators. Although they
Yeah,
did
Glad-
lose to like Valiant. They beat actually Fusion. And they did very well. And you can see the improvement over these past few weeks over all the teams. And I
Right.
would say kind of the falling of Dynasty, but I don't think they're like going to go downhill.
right, they're still a really good team with one of the best DPS players and the best tank lineup and the best supports. Ridiculous.
One of the things I really love to see from Dynasty is well, some of the American teams, like I noticed this especially with San Francisco Shock, and they're a younger team as well with Valiant, but they're all younger. But when they were losing and everything, they would get a little bit teary-eyed. They'd be a little bit frustrated, obviously. But then when Dynasty lost to Spitfire, anytime it showed their faces, they'd be completely fine. And then they stood up at the end, and they had smiles. They would just shake the hands, and it was really nice to see. Actually, it's really refreshing.
They act very professional.
Yeah, they
It's
do.
true. I think that has to do with the way that the Korean pro scene has kind of shaped them in a way, so that they act the way they do in Overwatch League. And it's very interesting to see that they still give, even in North America, they still give everyone the same respect as they would in Korea. I'm going to wrap it up now. This has been the Atreo podcast. In the Atreo server, there's been a lot of changes. We were having a 1v1 tournament every single week. So
Pickup games.
there has been pickup games. There have been tryouts every Sunday. There is a 6v6 tournament with teams every Saturday. And there is definitely more to come. So if you want to get into all that, join the Discord in Atreo, or join the Atreo Discord. Sorry. The link will be posted with this podcast, and I hope you enjoyed. That's it.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Okay, we can stop recording.